So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cliff Archie. I'm a senior program manager with IBM, and I'm very excited to tell you all about our IBM Summer Skills Build Challenge today. We're really excited to pitch this to the NAF network. But before I go ahead and dive in, I'm going to introduce Bill Taylor, a person who I've been working with for 16, 17, 18 months now, Bill?
Something like that. I lose track of time.
Set the context for the collaboration.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Cliff. Good afternoon, everybody. NAF Nation, so excited to see you guys. Hope your school year is finishing better than it started. That's my wish for you all. I know it's been a tough year, and but I'm thrilled about that and I really want to give from all of us at NAF, give a heartfelt set of gratitude for all that you've accomplished, all that you've endured this year. It's been a grind, we know. I don't even know if I have enough adjectives in my vocabulary to describe. I know what we've all been through, but anyway, I really appreciate the time that you're taking out here to learn a little bit about this exciting opportunity. We're really excited about this. So, and we hope that by the end of today's session, you are too, and I'm pretty confident that you will be, because my friend Cliff's going to do a great job of explaining what this tremendous opportunity is. So, as Cliff mentioned, we've been collaborating, NAF and IBM, as we endeavor as an organization to build a future-ready network, a future, and help our young people leave high school future-ready. I don't need to preach to this choir that takes collaboration, right? We need to have strong partners who believe in that work, who invest in that work, who bring cutting edge thinking and technology to that effort. And we'd be hard pressed to find a better organization than IBM, who's really stepped up and collaborated with us over the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, in developing materials, lessons, and resources now openly available on the Open T-Tech platform. And but we wanted to go beyond that and find some engaging ways to help young people interact and with some of this really rich and valuable content. So that's kind of the context. What brings us together today. We really want you to hear about this summer opportunity for our young people. And like I said, all of us at NAF are really excited about it. I think once you hear more about what this could mean for your young scholars, I think you'll be excited about it as well. And we hope that you get a chance to get all of your questions answered here. So as usual, we're going to rely on you not to be shy. And we know that you'll ask all the questions that you need in order to be informed about this great opportunity, so that you can make it available to our young people who endeavor to build up their STEM skills, their professional skills, so that they can continue their journey towards being a future-ready scholar when they leave your academy. So without that, that's the context. So excited that you're here again. Thank you for being here and taking time out. And I'm going to not take another second longer. Let Cliff do his magic and introduce the IBM Summer Skills Build Challenge to you.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that introduction. Again, thank you everybody for being here today. So I introduced myself. I'm also with two of my colleagues, Krista Camp and Darren Smith, on the IBM side of things. They will help you all get acclimated, hopefully, to the platform over the next couple of weeks and actually get your students registered when we get to that point. But we'll talk through all of that during today's session. So first thing we're going to do is just introduce the Summer Skills Build Challenge, what that means for your students. As Bill said, what your role will be, and it's quite flexible. So that's sort of the intention behind the poll questions that we asked at the beginning. Give a little bit more context to what Bill was starting with behind the IBM and NAF collaboration to date. We'll go into the platform at that point. I'll give you a brief demo just so you can see the kind of learning that your students will have available at their fingertips this summer. Go through the incentive structure that your students will have available to them, and then talk through logistics on how to get signed up. Like I said before, we'll save plenty of time for Q&A, but as my colleague Darren posted in the chat, feel free to type in questions that you may have. In the meantime, when I'm talking through some of this stuff, you don't have to wait till the end. You can type it in there. Darren, Krista can answer it, or I can address it as we go. So without further ado, the IBM Skills Build Summer Challenge is a first-time opportunity we've really created with IBM Corporate Social Responsibility. It's going to run from June 15th to July 30th, and it's a real wonderful opportunity, we feel, biased of course, but an opportunity to introduce your students to emerging technologies and professional skills through our Open PTech platform. It is a totally free experience for you and for your students, and it's going to give students the opportunity to have 6 separate times to earn challenge incentives. So each week is a new challenge. Each week offers the new opportunity to earn IBM and IBM Skills Build branded swag. We haven't officially decided what that's going to look like yet, but it's going to be something like t-shirts, hoodies, notebooks, water bottles, socks. I don't know. We're going to basically hear from our teenage users of what's going to resonate most with them and order that. But weekly tasks range from talking to other learners on our secure forum about what they're learning to earning digital badge credentials on our platform. And those badge credentials can be purely technical, they can be purely professional skills, or they can be a mix of both. And we'll certainly go through all of that. One thing to note before I proceed any further is all the content on Open PTech is totally self-paced. So you as an individual student could log on with your mobile device, could log on with a Chromebook, could log on with a laptop or a computer that you have access to at home, freely access all the content, go through it individually, and earn a digital badge in one sitting, or you can spread it out over several weeks. It's really up to you. And so there's a lot of really great flexible opportunities to leverage our platform, particularly over the summer when students have a little bit more bandwidth to sort of take things at their own pace and think about more of what's awaiting them around the corner with their future career opportunities. So the mission of Open PTech is that we're going to jumpstart career exploration for all students, particularly focusing on students who are from underserved backgrounds and who tend to be from demographics that are underrepresented in STEM fields. We want our platform to be a starting point for that career exploration and give students who may not otherwise be exposed to artificial intelligence, to cloud, to blockchain, to these technologies that we know are shaping the world of work, getting that introduction and hopefully sparking an interest for them to continue narrowing in a field that's going to be of real interest and opportunity for them long term. So on the platform, we have content that touches a little bit on what I just said, but it spans both technical and professional. So you'll see content that's all introductory on cybersecurity, blockchain, AI, other sort of foundational technologies that we as a company are developing. And then you'll see content on design thinking, on agile project methodology, on critical and creative thinking, on how you apply for a job if you don't have actual working experience, which is the course collaboration that we conducted with NAF. So it runs a very wide gamut of content that is all very relevant to a teenager who's thinking about their future career opportunities, potentially for the first time, or in the case of a NAF student who has been thinking about it but may not be totally certain exactly what they want to pursue, or has had an internship opportunity, maybe thinking about a future internship opportunity, and wants to get a head start. So it's all very accessible content, but it's content that has a purpose. You will earn industry recognized digital badges if you're a student going through our platform. These are small grain size, so it's not like an industry certification like CompTIA would be, but it's representing anywhere between 3 and 14 hours worth of learning, and it's really at the knowledge level. So these are great introductory credentials that students can start using to build their LinkedIn profiles, to add to their resumes, to put on college applications, internship applications, etc. And we have a self-paced learning management system that really keeps them engaged as they go. So we have small grain size assessments. We have the ability to reflect and post sort of your own train of thought into the course content, ways that keep it relevant to that individual learner, but also keep them engaged if they're going through this independently. We asked the question, and I'll get to the poll results in a second here, what you plan to do this summer, because while this is completely accessible to an individual learner, that is not the only way to do it. There is robust admin capability through the platform where you as an educator, if you want to go through this with your students, you are more than capable of doing so. We have teacher enablement content. We have implementation guides. We have a teacher toolkit that walks you through all the different admin features and how to use it with students. We have lesson plans in the system so that if you want to take it in more of a blended or hybrid learning approach, where students are getting the content on AI individually, but then coming back whole group and synthesizing their takeaways, all of that is built in. So there's a lot of really great opportunity to use it just as a recommendation to students to say, hey, spend quality time this summer on this platform, getting some digital badges, or I'm going to use what you've already given me as an educator to run the summer program that I think is a really good opportunity for enrichment. IBM is the one that actually recognizes these digital badge credentials. We are a badge issuer through Credly. So all of these badges are going to have the IBM logo on it. Depending on the badge, we'll have a partner logo, but it's issued by IBM in this case. So Darren and Chris are on because we also really want to focus for the NAF network on that individualized support, getting you configured with an admin account, getting your students registered appropriately, and making sure that they can participate this summer with very little, if any, technical hurdles in the way. So what I want to just step back and set context for is what Bill touched on in his comments. So this is not the first time that we at IBM have collaborated with NAF on something for teachers and students. We actually created a digital course back in Q1 of 2020, even before the pandemic started, to give students who have never applied for a job before the skills that they need to be confident applying for a job. And so you can see what we created together. It was a very collaborative course development process, and the course lives on OpenPTech now. It was validated by educators, and I'll get to some of the comments from them in a minute. But the 4 modules that you'll encounter in this course are developing your brand using social media. So how do you create a LinkedIn profile? How do you scrub your social media accounts if you have been putting out content that is not going to be viewed necessarily positively by employers? How do you start your research on what you would actually like to work in? What type of environment, what type of field, what type of company? How do you narrow that search if you're just starting out? How do you create a professional resume if you don't have any job experience? And then how do you interview effectively, particularly in a virtual setting where you see somebody on Zoom? It's a bit intimidating. How do you make the most of that opportunity? So really relevant content in this course. This is one of the badge courses that is available to your students this summer. And it's, again, one that is joint issued, as you can see here, by IBM and NAF. So it's about, I believe, 10 hours worth of content. It's all available seamlessly through the platform. And we know from feedback amongst educators like yourselves from NAF that the course really has seen a lot of success. It's seen a lot of use. It's seen a lot of really positive feedback. And the reason why I'm highlighting some of these things is because we already ran this pilot in the fall and into the spring of this year. And some of the comments that we heard made us think that it's an ideal fit for this summer. So educators assigned it as an asynchronous activity, didn't necessarily do much beyond that, but saw their students earning the badges over the course of a 4 to 5 week period, perfect for the summer portion of this, and leveraging sort of their takeaways, which is something that we're modeling in the summer challenge. Plug and play. So not a whole lot of lift from an educator perspective to get this started. We think the same is true for the entire summer challenge. And opportunity to practice first in OpenPTech before they actually go and interview. Again, some students may be interviewing this summer for summer jobs. Some may be interviewing for internships in the fall and the spring. So this summer is a good opportunity to sort of have that safe space to practice and earn a digital badge while they're at it. Just so you can see some of the comments, informative, step-by-step, easy to use, totally online, totally self-directed. So that's going to be an important element to highlight for Those of you who don't plan to be involved in summer programming this summer, but certainly want your students to be doing something productive with their time, it's totally self-directed. You can assign it and they can go and do it on their own without any involvement from you, if that is the path that you're on this summer. So beyond the course that we built with NAF, we have over 75 hours of self-paced trackable content on 44 unique courses, plus a whole lot of other content that we've curated from high quality third-party resources. This is not exhaustive. I'll show you how you can see the full list of courses when we get into the demo, but just to give you some idea of what we're talking about here, on the technical side of things, we have an AI Foundations course. It's about 14 hours long. We built it with ISTE, and it is a really comprehensive overview to all things AI, not only the technology, but also the history behind it, the ethical considerations going into creating AI algorithms and applying it in many different use cases. So it's a really good opportunity to learn about artificial intelligence from a broad level and be more informed as a consumer when you're encountering AI systems across the board during your daily life. You can see other ones on here, like more application-based, building your own chatbot, learning about quantum computing, learning about cloud. And then there's plenty of content that's not technical if you have students who are either not into technology as much or have at least not expressed a direct interest in it. Content on professional skills. So we have a digital badge course that's split into 5 modules hitting on presentation skills, collaboration, the ability to maintain effective deadlines and turning in work at a high quality level. So things that obviously apply to the academic setting and the workplace. Design thinking is one that everybody really gravitates to because it's applicable across so many different cases, but it's really the whole notion of putting the end user that you're trying to serve first, whether that end user is somebody who is homeless in your community that you want to help, or whether it's a user of an app that you want to create. That really spans so many different applications, and the framework that that course introduces students to has been really effective in a number of different settings and to a wide range of different students. And then we just launched a course collaboration with Adobe on basic principles of design. So if you have students that are at all interested in the design world and just thinking about visual aesthetics, that's a really great course to earn a digital badge, branded IBM and Adobe, introducing just sort of the basic fundamentals. Maria, I see your question, and there's others that we can address as we go, but I want to be clear that as Chris is answering, anybody, any teacher can do this. We are pitching this to anybody who's affiliated with NAF because we love NAF, and we know that hopefully this is going to be something that is an attractive opportunity for your students. But absolutely, if you are working with non-NAF affiliated schools, colleagues, teachers that you'd like to recommend this to, by all means, please do so because it is open to everybody. So with that being said, give me 1 second and I'm gonna cue the demo. So one thing to note is that to get into OpenPTech, we're going to talk through how we recommend you and your students get in. When they actually go in, they have different single sign-on options that are already built in. If you're a Google Classroom district, it will be very easy for them to log in with Google. They can use their LinkedIn profiles, Facebook. If you use Clever as a district, we have to work with your district to enable it in the system, but we can do that pretty easily. And then if you use Microsoft 365 in the public directory, you can also use that to sign in. So I just want to point out there's a lot of different single sign-on options that you and your students can use to get into the system. And once you are in, you're going to see an interface that looks just like this. So I want to be clear that I have an educator account, and I'll walk through how that's a little bit different than what students are going to find. But when we register all of you, assuming that you are interested, this is the view that you will see. Your student will be very, very similar, with the exception of you won't see this team tab up here. But you will be able to search content. You'll be able to see this level up dashboard. So I may look delinquent because I don't actually use this to learn the courses. But when you go in and you learn content and you actually take courses, this automatically updates in real time. And so you can see in your dashboard how many learning hours you have, what you actually earned to get those learning hours. And this is actually important for the summer challenge because the students who have the most number of hours learned this summer will win sort of a grand prize of a swag bag from IBM. And so you can earn up to super learner if you have 15 or more hours, elite learners 30 more. Whoever's affiliated with the challenge and has the most learning hours gets that additional recognition at the end of the summer challenge. So all this is tracked to the end user. You can see it when you log in a dashboard. If and when you earn badges, you'll see that here as well. And there'll be opportunities to post that to your LinkedIn profiles and link it to some other systems. So this is a really good dashboard, just tracking all of your progress in one place. Search is obviously the best place to start for content if you know you want to find something. But if you're just sort of curious about what we have in our catalog, you can go to course catalog over here. Give me a second. While this is loading, I'm going to pull up this toolkit because this is one of the things I was going to show. We built out this whole enablement guide for you as an educator to understand some of the basic navigation features of OpenPTech and give you an idea of where you might want to start. One thing to just emphasize is for students who are doing the summer challenge, our team is going to send out an email every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Central Time during the challenge period. So from June 15th to July 30th, participating students will get an email notification at 10 a.m. on Mondays, being very clear about what they need to do in order to earn the challenge incentive for that particular week. It is going to be very obvious to them. They're not going to have to go in and sort of like poke around. The links will be directly included, and it will mirror in some ways what we have here on the implementation guide. So you can see this is something we built very recently to support educators who are just wondering, all right, how do I get started with OpenPTech? What should I focus on? You guys have a lot of content, but tell me where to start. These are sort of like our best of top 10 topics that we know a lot of educators and students have had success with. So one of the ones I like to highlight is this Intro to Tech badge. This is a really good starting point for any students who may be incoming ninth graders, maybe transitioning into their sophomore years, and have not otherwise been exposed to some of the topics that I mentioned to date. If you want to learn about just the basics of cloud, the basics of AI, the basics of data science, this is a great way to start. And all of the learning is laid out for you in this particular learning plan. So when you click on that link that I was showing to you in the toolkit, and Darren, Krista, if you could just put the link to the toolkit in the chat, that would be wonderful. You can see the different topics laid out here. There's cloud, AI, cybersecurity, data science, blockchain, Internet of Things. You do earn a badge if you complete all the content, but none of this is requiring any sort of technical expertise at all. It is very foundational to the particular topic at hand. And I'll just show you what this looks like in the platform. So this is what is cloud computing. If I click this blue button, it's going to open up the course. It's about a 45-minute introduction to cloud. So it doesn't take a lot of time. And you can see how student-friendly it is when we get into the course. So different topics are broken down here. These are sort of activities, as we call them. If I click on the introduction, cloud is not a cloud. Learn about IBM Cloud in this video. This is emblematic of most of our courses. Just sort of student-friendly text that was written with a 10th grader in mind. Video, opportunity to reflect. You'll have some infographics, and the concept will be introduced in a very high-level way. If you click, I've checked it out, it automatically registers the fact that you have 2 minutes of learning. You can click, let's keep going, and get into this module on what is cloud and how does it actually work. So it'll talk through, again, in a very simple way, how cloud is really computing via the internet, another video, a infograph, and then again, down here, if you click I've checked it out, you get 10 minutes of learning. So this is consistent across a lot of our courses. Before you finish and to get credit, you have to click I've checked it out and take a mini quiz. This one is only 5 questions long. It's sort of multiple choice. We have other ones that are Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style. So it does vary depending on the module, depending on the course. But again, this is very basic. It's very easy to sort of think about how you would learn this content and move forward. And yes, they can definitely redo the quiz. These particular quizzes, there's no limit to how often you can take it. The question bank does change so that it's not the same questions every time. There are some other badge courses like our chatbot course and some of the more advanced technical topics that have a limit of 3 times you can take it, because those courses are longer and typically we don't find that people aren't passing after 3 times. But for most of the ones that are relevant that we're going to be putting front and center for this challenge, you can take the quizzes as many times as you'd like. I was mentioning before the course catalog. So let me just go back here and show the different ways that we organize content. So if you click course catalog, you'll see them broken down into technical skills, workplace skills, expand your horizons. So if you want to learn about philanthropy, if you want to learn about how to make a podcast, if you want to learn about equity, diversity, inclusion topics, we have some really well curated solutions around Black Lives Matters, around other topics, from dealing with this topic at the corporate perspective, to give students a sense of like how this is covered at major companies, particularly in the era that we're living in. So diversity in the workplace. We actually had one that was geared towards high schoolers that the New York State Assembly created for the P-Tech network. So there's a sense of like how broad our topic areas really span. And then teacher resources, you only see when you log into your account. Students don't see these, but these are all of the different ways that we support educators as they go through this. And again, if I go back to the toolkit, you'll see teacher-facing content that supports what students are doing in the platform. And for those of you that are doing a summer enrichment program and are actually walking through programming with students, this is a really good way to not have to really plan anything. We've done the heavy lifting, we think, for you here. And so if you're taking this Intro to Tech course that I showed you a second ago, all the supporting content from an educator standpoint is here. So you can see this lesson plan on what is cloud computing. We just looked at the student-facing course. If I click go to this activity, you'll see the teacher-facing lesson plan that is directly aligned to that module that I was just showing before. You can download it. You can use it as a discussion guide for you and your students, but it's all right there for you. If your school administrator is very particular about collecting lesson plans, hopefully this is something you can turn in directly and not have to create anything, or at least pull some of the content that's here. But it's very well laid out, it's very guided, and it's going to help you sort of walk your students through the summer challenge experience. Just want to touch very briefly on some of the administrative features. When we register you all as admins, you all will get a custom URL that you can then share with your students. If the students click on that and register for the site, they're automatically joined to your account in the system. So at that point, when you go to your team and you click primary team, everybody who used your link to sign up will appear here. And so I have mostly IBMers, so the amount of learning that they've done is not super rigorous in this particular system. But just to show you what this looks like, if I click on this particular individual's name, you'll see that it gives a pretty good dashboard summary of everything that they're doing in the system. So it'll show them how many hours they've completed, 11 hours, they've earned 2 badges, data science and working in a digital world, professional skills. It even shows all the different completions that they've done in the system. They're almost to super learner status. So on the individual level, it gives really good reporting. And then if I know that I want to do the NAF course as an example, which is called Preparing for Your First Job, I could type in the name of the course into Team Completion Report. Here it is right here. And then it will show me all the completion activity for my particular students for that particular course. So again, if you want to use this in a more guided fashion, this is a really good way to do it. There are 7 different activities that are part of that course. It shows you how many of the 7 each of my learners have completed. If it's in queue, it just means that they've flagged it. They're going to start it, but they haven't started it yet. So again, really good reporting if you want to use this as part of a facilitated classroom experience this summer, or otherwise for that matter. There are additional admin features that if you are so inclined, you can check out in our toolkit here. It'll talk about how you actually add content to the system, which you will have the ability to do. What other admin capabilities like assigning required learning you can do. You can actually assign content to students in the system. I won't go into that here because that's a little sort of next level, but I just wanted to give you a sense of what the platform looks like, what a course looks like to a student, and what access you have to reporting capability if you want to check out what your students are doing in the platform. Last thing just to point out is down here is a spotlight. So this is rotating every week, but this is where sort of our newest things will show up. We're doing a summer challenge with Black Girls Code, so we've spotlighted some of their specific organizational content that's there. We have this new Adobe course that I mentioned before, teacher resources, so on and so forth. So that's another good way for you and your students just to see what's been most recently added to the platform. You can find it there. So I've been talking for a while. I definitely have more that I want to get into when it comes to the specifics of the challenge. But if folks have burning questions, or Darren and Chris, if there's questions that seem to be cropping up in the chat, we can take a pause and just tackle those.
I think, Cliff, one would be really good to talk about is student registration and having multiple admins and what that process is like and how we can help organizations if they have maybe different classes, things like that.
Yeah, so the way that our system is structured is that it is really individual. It's individual first, admin second. What I mean by that is we're creating a system for individual students to create accounts and go in themselves. We don't have the ability to create sort of like a classroom view or a school-based view where students are assigned to multiple admins and multiple admins can have different visibility into what another teacher might be doing with an individual student in the system. What we can do is you and a colleague can both be assigned as the primary or secondary admin, and you'll see all of your students, whether you are the primary or the secondary, in that area that I was showing in the tool. You can all run reports. You can see what students have done, etc. So we can also create something that we recently launched called a group space, where if you want your whole school to get on this and you know you're going to have like 5 different admins, or perhaps it's just a particular planning team that you have, we can create particular subgroups and assign the students that are a part of your school in the system to different admins in those subgroups. The reporting runs a little bit differently than what I was showing in the dashboard, but it is an option for you to sort of have broader visibility and shared visibility across different admin accounts in the system. That would be like a next level training. It's still free. It's not all that difficult. We would just have to work with you to understand, okay, which admin is responsible for which student, Do you want to do it by like class period? Do you want to do it by subject area? And we can configure it based on your customized needs. I do see a question around what happens if our summer program doesn't start until after your summer challenge has begun. Great question, first of all. Want to really emphasize as we get into sort of the logistics around this, this is a very flexible and open challenge. You do not have to be locked and loaded, ready to begin on June 15th to be eligible. If your students want to come in after the 4th of July and just do the last 3 weeks of the challenge, that's totally fine. They'll be eligible, not for the first 3 weeks, obviously, but they'll be eligible for the last 3 weeks of the challenge. You can opt in at any point, is the point. You don't have to stick with it the entire time. If you want to do the first, we hope that they will, obviously, but if you only have bandwidth to the first 2 weeks and your students are really active during that time, there's some of the first 100 to 200 students to complete the challenge, they'll earn those incentives regardless of how long they persist over the rest of the summer. So if you want to come in late, more than fine. If you want to start and then drop, also more than fine. Obviously, we hope that students will want to continue with the challenge throughout the entire 6 weeks. So because we're getting into sort of the logistics, I wanted to pull up this slide and just share the poll results with everybody in case you're curious. There's 2 options here, and that was sort of the intention behind the questions that we asked. If you are planning on hanging out at a beach this summer and you want to be as far away from school as humanly possible, this is still relevant for you between now and the time that school lets out, because we are pre-registering schools and classes now. We can get you and your students set up, configured with accounts, ready to get our emails come the first week of the challenge, and you don't have to worry about anything beyond that, because we'll have them in the system, they'll get our communication, and as long as they're checking their email, and they'll be able to participate in the challenge. If you want to be much more involved, that's also highly encouraged. So if you're planning on running a summer challenge, or you're doing some long-term planning, you're checking in every now and then with your own internal systems and how your students are doing, you want to send them a nudge, option 2 is great too. You can use the teacher toolkit. You can check in with your OpenPTIC account, see how your students are doing. We are still doing the planning work. We have all of the different modules that I mentioned before ready to go in the platform. All you have to do is just decide how you want to use it with your students this summer. So whether you're on the one end of the spectrum or the other, or somewhere in between, we feel very strongly that this is something that can work very well for you and for your students. So specifics. This is just sort of the week by week piece, and I want to be clear about how you actually earn incentives if you're a student, because we want to avoid some legal red tape for end users. In this particular case, it's all about speed of completion in this case. So the first 100 to 200 students depends on the challenge. The first week is 200. I think weeks 5 and 6 are 100. You just have to be the first to do it. We get the timestamps on our end, so we can look that up very easily. User doesn't have to tell us when they've done it. We know from an automated perspective. If they do that, they earn the incentive, and we mail out all of the incentives to the particular school that they are affiliated with at the end of the summer. That just allows us to avoid any issues with students giving us their home addresses. They don't have to give us personally identifying information beyond the school that they're affiliated with. And then we mail out the prizes to the school, and the school can then distribute those prizes to the students who earn them. So in terms of the particular challenges, you can see them laid out here. By the way, you don't have to memorize any of this. We're going to put the links in the chat and in the presentation for where you find all this information. We do have a website where we are going to ask all of you to just spend 3 minutes signing up in case you're interested. But week 1 is very basic. It's very just trying to get them onto the platform. Log into your account, complete your profile, post a hi, how are you comment to our PTech Connect moderated forum and do 1 hour of learning. That's all you have to do. So if you're one of the first 200, you'll win one of our prizes. Week 2 is when we get into sort of that badge earning piece. So complete a 3-hour badge. That's the smallest grain size. We have 4 that they can choose from. So we're giving them choice, but we're not boiling the ocean with it. Choose from one of these 4. It should take you about 3 to 4 hours. You'll have a badge at the end of it. If you're one of the first 200, you'll get the prize. Week 3, 4, and 5 sort of go together because week 5 is completing a longer badge, about 6 to 7 hours. So we're making the challenges in weeks 3 and 4 a little bit lighter touch as a result. It's all about just sort of like sharing knowledge with the community that we've built through the summer challenge in our PTech Connect community. So week 3 is just write a paragraph in the forum talking about what you've learned thus far. Week 4 is a badge checkpoint around what you've been learning in the badge thus far, how you might apply it, an insight that you have for your colleagues who have chosen a different badge. And then week 5 is rewarding students who actually do complete that badge first. And then finally in week 6, it's sort of that summary. So summarizing takeaways from what they've learned, and then posting about it on social, just to sort of have that peer-to-peer influencer piece. So that's at a high level, the week by week cadence. And hopefully you agree that this is meaningful, but it's not overly burdensome. It's really about engaging with our content and then synthesizing what your takeaways are in a PTech Connect community so that students are sort of sharing their insights and takeaways with each other. So we've gone through most of the heavy logistics here. Before I pull up the form, what I want to just go through are some of the most commonly asked questions, and then happy to get into more specific ones because I know that there's a lot of really good questions that are being asked in the chat. I mentioned this before, but prize distribution. So if your students, even if it's just one of them, have earned the prize, we're going to ship it to the school at a date that makes sense for you. We're not going to order it until the end of the challenge, so we're going to order it in early August so that we know exactly the volume, we know where it needs to be shipped, and then it will be up to the school to distribute it to the individual winners. Eligibility, as long as you are a student affiliated with NAF here, you are eligible to participate. To the question from before, really as long as you are a student in the age range of 13 to 20, you can participate in this. In terms of signing up, so this is what I want to share with you. This is the link, and I'm going to post it in the chat. We'll also share out the slides so that you have them, but this is where it's going to list out everything that I've been going through in this particular presentation. But if you scroll down, you'll see this interest form. It's just going to ask you for your name, your preferred email address, the school or organization that you're affiliated with. Are you a school, district, etc.? And then estimate how many students you feel like are going to participate in this. Once you do that, should take no more than 2 minutes, honestly. Darren and Krista get that notification. They can go in and register you as an admin in our system. You'll get 2 emails. You'll get one that is welcoming you to the summer challenge with just some information. And then you'll get another one that has your registration link for you to share with students. Send that to your students in a way that you normally would, whether it's creating an assignment in your LMS, whether it's emailing it to them. That is entirely up to you. We've just found that doing this for 15 months with educators and students, the easiest way to get them registered is to send them a link. They fill out the form and they jump into the system. And like I said, that link is specific to your account. So it's very easy for them just to click it and they'll automatically be joined. And then if you already have an account, we can easily generate a URL for you that's still custom to your account that you can then use to share with students. So it doesn't have to be a new account. We can do that for existing accounts as well. So the primary takeaway from this, if you are interested in participating or you want your students to participate, click the link and fill out this form. Those are the two most important things. Everything else we'll be communicating with you about as the challenge progresses and as we get closer to the challenge. I should say that there is a launch event that's going to take place virtually, obviously, on June 15th. We'll be sending out invites to all those who sign up to this forum about a week in advance, but it's just a way that we can reorganize everybody to the challenge, make sure everybody is clear on what's to come and how to earn those incentives. So there is an opportunity just to kick off the summer challenge with a quick event that's going to be similar to this one, but a little bit more targeted since we'll be closer to the challenge starting. And that's going to happen on June 15th to kick us off. Finally, just talk through sort of the student registration process. Again, all the students have to do is click the link that you send them or you share with them, sign up for an account, and opt into emails. That's it. As long as they do that, they will be good to go. We'll know that they're affiliated with the summer challenge because we have the ability to track that as part of the URL, and they'll be ready to go. They'll be getting our emails every month, kicking off, or every week, sorry, kicking off the particular challenges. So I know that we just threw a lot at you, but happy to spend the last 10 minutes or so going through some additional questions that you may just want to voice. If you want to take yourselves off mute, please by all means do so, and we can answer any additional questions that you may have, or comments for that matter.
Hi, Cliff. This is Denise Hines-Cruz from Edgewater in Florida. A question. So we have an account already. We were going to do this on our own in the summer. I'm the admin, but I need to add another teacher as an admin. Our students have not signed up for anything or done anything yet. Will we need a different URL for what we do in the challenge versus what we do at school later in the year?
So let me just make sure I'm interpreting your question correctly. So your students are not yet registered for the platform, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we will just generate a URL for this particular purpose. Once they're in the system, they're there for however long they want to be there. So they won't need to re-register or do anything else. The link that we generate for the summer challenge will be all that they need to get access. It'll just be up to you to tell us if there's other admins that you want to have that the administrative capability to register students. We can do that too. You just let us know when we actually create the URL. There's an additional option for you to share with other admins who can use that to get admin access. So the students will only need to register one time this summer, and their account will continue to be active into the fall when you want to use OpenPTech on an ongoing basis.
Okay, so there is a URL for the school, the way we have it now, and then there's a URL for the challenge. So when the students sign up for the challenge, which will be the first time they're using it, when we're ready to use not the challenge URL, but the regular school URL, are those two separate things or?
No, so the student, I'm glad you're bringing this up just because it could be confusing. The student is only registering for OpenPTech. They individually are not registering for the challenge. You as the admins are registering for the challenge. So if you already have an account, that is totally fine. We will know that. We can go in after this call, Denise, and just make sure that we regenerate the registration URL. That is what gets sent to students. And all they have to do is click that link and sign up for the platform. So they're not filling out that form that I was showing a second ago. You as the admin are filling that out. All they have to do is sign up for the platform and they're in. They never have to do anything after that point other than just log in and stay active with the platform. You just have to let us know who you want sort of like having that visibility into what students are doing in the platform. If you want it to be one overarching school account, that's fine. If you want it to be specific to you or some of your colleagues, we can create other, like several different accounts. So the students are only clicking it once, and then we can follow up just to figure out how many admin accounts and custom URLs you want created.
All right, do I need to send an email then when I go to sign up right now to say what we need,
We'll
or
already
is there a
know.
comment?
Yeah, if you go, you can just put a comment in there, but we'll know from this meeting to follow up with you too. So you don't need to do anything other
Okay.
than fill out that form.
Thanks, Cliff.
Sure. Other questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question. My name is Carsten Binsner. I'm a teacher in Washington, D.C., representing DC International School. If when I started to fill out the registration form, it doesn't have the jurisdiction for Washington, D.C. And I saw and I tried to leave it blank, but it's not letting me submit. So should we choose Maryland or should we choose Virginia? What's the suggestion?
Oh, let me go in and fix that in the form. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm literally from Northern Virginia, so I don't know how I left DC off of the state jurisdiction. But yeah, I will make that change in literally 5 minutes, and then if you just go
Okay.
back, you'll have it. Sorry about that.
Not a problem at all.
Any other questions? Things that we can clarify?
Hi, Cliff. I have a question about the ages. You said anyone through age 20 is eligible?
Yes, and that's not a hard and fast rule. We really just want students who are affiliated with a summer program or academic institution.
Okay, because I have a LinkedIn group with that consists of my current NAF students as well as my NAF alumni. Could I open it up to anyone on LinkedIn group that's a NAF graduate of Lewiston Porter?
So yes, as long as we know that they're still going to be affiliated with your school in the system,
Okay.
and you're okay with that, that would be fine.
Okay. All right. Now they wouldn't have a student email any longer because our school disables their student email when they graduate. Would that pose any problem?
No, because they can use whatever email they so choose. As long as
Okay.
they're using the link you share with them, we'll still know
Okay.
that they're affiliated with the NAF.
Affiliated with my account.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. Good question. So just to, again, summarize here, we are going to manually process your registration once you fill out this form here. So to easily make sure you have it, click this link, fill out this form. You will get a welcome email within 24 hours. You'll also get an automated email from us when we register you. And that second email will have the registration link that you then use for your students. It's super important that you ensure they get that link and they actually take the step to register, because we all know teenagers, you work with them every day. Sometimes they need reminders to take that action. But once they click that and they sign up, they will get our email correspondence, and they'll be able to access all the different challenges come June 15th. So the sooner you do this, the better, just because we'll have you in the system. But you can do this and you can advertise it to colleagues anytime over the summer. Again, we'd love to have people locked and loaded by June 15th, just so students have the full 6 weeks to do the challenges. But you can start later than that, and your colleagues at your own school or at different academies can also start later in the summer as well, if that's ideal. So with that, let me just say thank you for your attention on a Wednesday afternoon. I really hope that this is something that your students can take advantage of this summer, and that you'll want to encourage your students to take advantage of. I didn't say this initially, but we launched Open P-TECH in March of 2020. I don't think it needs to be said, but that was obviously the beginning of the pandemic. And what we found over the course of the last 14 months or so is that while students certainly have Zoom fatigue, they have the fatigue from being in front of a computer screen. The content on Open P-TECH feels very supportive in nature. it's something they can do on their own. They can sort of have their own space to take it in whatever insights and directions they want it to be in. And it's something that feels different than their normal academic schooling. So it's a great thing to take advantage of this summer. Great way to sort of focus on future of career planning and exploration that students don't get the chance to do as much during the normal school year. So thank you again, and we look forward to running the summer challenge with you and your students. All the best to everybody as the school year concludes too.
Thank you. Bye, Cliff.
Take care. I'm gonna make that DC change right now.